What is going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about Lucid. Go over some of the data points, break it down on what shorts are doing, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So Lucid is in the green 0.24%, 207 the low, 211 the high, and very low volume. So 40 million shares being traded, 130 is the average. So it did bounce off of a very strong support, and this is something I've been stating for the last several videos, as it needs to definitely hold. If not, you're going to be seeing kind of the high ones. But 207, it bounced off of that somewhat yesterday as well as today. So that's a diamond support level. So just watch for that over the next couple of trading days. And then of course, flip side, 260 is going to be the next strong target / resistance. I'm looking at the 1-day chart as well. So very strong support and resistance points. So I think 260 is a little bit far-fetched to start kind of talking about, but we can look at the 4-hour chart just to give you a closer time frame. So 210 and then 215 as the next strong target / resistance points. No news from Lucid, no SEC filings or anything like that. Even on social media, they've gone somewhat radio silent, and this is something I brought up yesterday. So their last post was on the 19th, which is rather abnormal for them. But Lucid right now is just piggybacking off of the broader market, and the market is digesting a couple different things. So initial jobless claims came in at 235 versus the consensus of 225. So not necessarily the best. It does show more of a weakening in the labor market, which technically, if you think about it, would justify a rate cut, but we did get a lot of good data. So a lot of flash data. Composite came in at 55.4 and the forecast was 53. Anything above 50 shows more of an expansion, so that came in very good. The manufacturing, that forecast was 49.7 and that came in at 53.3. So that was phenomenal data. And then services, same thing, kind of came in better than anticipated. So as a byproduct of all this, you actually do have now a 26.5% likelihood of no cut for the September 17th meeting. So we went complete polar opposite from last week, which last week we were starting to anticipate a 50 basis point cut. So this is one thing that's really affecting a lot of growth stocks. Tomorrow we do have Powell first thing, so that will make for a very interesting type of day. But nonetheless though, you have shorts consistently increasing. And this is actually, I post NEO videos on my financial journey channel. I have quite a few different YouTube channels. And there was one comment, kind of interesting. And they just said, the shorts from NEO have been leaving, going to Lucid. And honestly, it kind of is weird, but it does somewhat make sense. NEO shorts have been just consistently returning, whereas Lucid shorts have been just doubling, tripling down. So even right now, shorts are increasing 3.45 million shares. Even yesterday, they did increase 5 million shares. So it's a very crappy scenario, regrettably. So you have a certain level of suppression coming from just shorts and as well algorithmic trading. So I'll go over that in a second. But 32.86% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 412.41 million shares overall are being shorted. In my opinion, I think given the fact that we're kind of stuck in limbo waiting for the next big catalyst, this would be a optimum time for Faisal, Mark, or some other individual, an executive, to do a interview just to give some general updates, because the market honestly does appreciate that. And I don't know, clearly Lucid hasn't really put 2 and 2 together. When they are more transparent and actually put out more interviews and PRs, then the stock price actually does move higher. A little bit of an asterisk, has to be positive. This last Bloomberg interview that Mark did, that was absolutely horrific. And it made Lucid look like they're about to on the verge of dilution, which technically, in all fairness, as I mentioned in my video yesterday, I do think it's coming. But nonetheless though, as you can kind of see from this screen, it does show just the algos are in full force from the flow. Looking at the money flow though, the larger institutions, you're not really seeing all that much. The overall has been going higher, so definitely good to see. And I think a lot of people at the same time have been really bringing up the latest 13Fs. So you do see a lot of institutions that have been making brand new positions, such as this 𝗪𝗧𝗛𝗧 with a 3.6 million, and all of this did occur on a side note in Q2. I see a lot of people posting this and saying, hey, look, big money is buying yesterday or today, whatever. All of this technically did occur during Q2, just so you're aware. But nonetheless, you are actually seeing some good institutions increasing. It's not all positive. You do see some bearish ones where some institutions are doubling down on puts or reducing their position. For instance, 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗚𝗧 and Co. did reduce their position by 31%. That's common stock. But nonetheless, you're not going to have everyone happy with Lucid, especially based on the price action and whatever else. So a lot of people are bringing this up, so it's good to see institutions still very much involved in Lucid, and that's kind of what Mark wants based on the whole reverse stock split. So again, if you are curious and don't really know about why Lucid is doing a reverse stock split, it is to incentivize institutions to buy Lucid, because technically some institutions can't buy Lucid because of its penny stock status, or at the same time, a lot of stocks cannot use margin to buy Lucid. So Mark's mentality and Lucid's mentality is by them doing a reverse stock split, that will incentivize more institutions. So it'll be interesting to see the next 13 Fs that do come out down the pipeline. Aside from all that though, looking at the options, 908,000 in calls, 175,000 in puts. So very low volume through the options. 61% of all the options though being done are bearish in nature. So not the best, and that was pretty much the exact same as yesterday. From a bulls standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be kind of above that 2 to 250. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 2, and that's one thing that they've been very consistent about. This is open interest, so obviously with today being Thursday, this might be a little bit more relevant tomorrow, but you have 28,000 at that 250, then 3,000 at that 2. So best case scenario, Lucid closes above 250, but I don't know if that's feasible. These are all the transactions occurring on the secondary market. So you do have two buys, one for 138,000, 114. Everything else is a sell. So big money's not really involved all that much. So as I mentioned, algorithmic trading and shorts, that's kind of the biggest factors that's moving Lucid today. These are all the transactions occurring on the dark pool. This one right here did help Lucid recover, a $2.92 million transaction. So that's what kickstarted it, getting it off of that 208 range, pushing it to that 210. So definitely good to see. Some institutions, again, like I said, are paying attention to it, but still, these are all the transactions as well, just the rest of them on the dark pool. Aside from that, with a 210, it is on this S2. I'm looking at the 4-hour chart as I showed you at the beginning of the video. So just watch for what I mentioned, so that 207 being a support, 210, and then 215 as resistance points. There hasn't been any real articles coming out, just like I said, talking about institutions buying, selling, what has been happening. Couple neuro PRs, just talking about valuation, but nonetheless, that's pretty much it. No new analyst ratings on the actual chart itself. Things aren't looking still any better. So 214 is that ALMA. It ideally will get above that to show more of a trend change, and that most likely will occur tomorrow, if anything. So if Powell, let's say, does allude to a potential September cut, then you'll see growth stocks like rally like crazy. So that'll be Lucid's opportunity to really move higher. And then you have that 50-day moving average at 234. So that'll be another target as well to watch. Stochastic RSI, it is considered very oversold. So again, a good piece of news, whether it be macro or specific to Lucid, then you'll see a rush of actual buyers. So let me know your viewpoint on Lucid. Have you been buying? Have you been selling? What's your general thoughts on Lucid? And do you think that they have any PRs in their back pocket that they can actually put out that would drive the price higher, such as partnerships? Because the last 3 earnings that they've had, they've always alluded to partnerships coming and whatever. So do you think that they're actually having something in their back pocket, or is it still just negotiating, as what clearly happened with Uber for a good 6+ months? So let me know your viewpoint. And one final thing though, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, many of which have been absolutely on point. Definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.